WOCA. Ocala. All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things that I really enjoy when we have guests who have written books is sometimes learning how people live. I never knew anything about a midwife, ever. In fact, I even had to look it up, what it even meant. I didn't really know. Patricia Harman has written a book called The Runaway Midwife. It's a novel, and it really kind of opens your world to understand, not your world, but it opens your eyes to what it might be like to be a midwife. I know there's some dramatic things that happen in the story, but if you kind of, take away some of the drama, I'm guessing it's still an interesting life, not to mention probably has its share of stress, like most occupations. Patricia Harman is a nurse midwife and a best-selling author, and she says it's not autobiographical, so it's a novel. Good morning, Patricia. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Hi, Larry. It's great to be here.
Where are you?
It's interesting that I'm in West Virginia, long ways from Florida. It's interesting because the book is set in Canada. The story, not to give anything away, is about a midwife who undergoes a series of personal and professional problems and just can't take it anymore. And she runs to Florida, which I think is funny because all the Canadians come down to Florida.
Yes, yes, they do. Yes, they all come here. Yes, how do you know that? Have you been here?
Yes, well, I've been to both places, and we actually have a cottage on an island in Canada, in Lake Erie. It's not like way up in the woods or anything like that, but I know a lot of Canadians, so I know that when we're up there, a lot of them are down in Florida, probably in your area, enjoying the sunshine.
So was it fun to write about somebody who does what you do, but kind of had a little bit more excitement in her life, if you want to put it that way?
It was fun, Larry, but it was also, you said it's not autobiographical, and you're right, it's a fiction book, but I was going through a period of stress, and it's not anything special. I mean, in a way, there's lots of people. You have 1 year where everything happens to people in your family or to you, and I didn't have anything dramatic like with a patient, like in the story of the Runaway Midwife, but, I had some things. One kid in India got what's it called? The fever that they get, and he went blind. Yes, in one eye, but it turned out, after the fever went away, his vision came back, but we were so scared.
Oh, really?
Then another kid is an organic farmer. He's into the local food, just like I was hearing you guys talk about on your station. And he got his hand caught in a tractor. And then we really did have one of our colleagues committed suicide. I didn't realize that all these things were affecting me so much until something small happened in the office. I think a nurse said something snippy to me, which she probably could have said any day. But I was just like, I'm out of here.
Oh,
yes.
I
know that feeling.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I put on Facebook, I said, how many people have ever thought of running away? And within like 10 minutes, I had 63 responses.
Really?
And everyone said, yeah, for sure. So I just actually did go away to our cottage, and I started this book about a woman who really wanted to run away. She wanted to disappear. But yet she wasn't going to jump off a cliff or anything. She just had to get away. And so the book really is about healing. It's not just about why do you run away. It's about how do you get yourself back. And, of course, there's the love interest. There's some scary stuff. You guys have seen the book, so you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah. And I'm always a little reluctant to give details about a novel simply because I want the readers to enjoy the novel and not know in advance anything. So it is really a well-written book. I'm wondering if you've had feedback from other midwives.
Well, that I thought the book might be quite controversial because one of the things is people, even though, Larry, it sounds like you hadn't heard a lot about midwives.
No.
People who go to midwives kind of put them on a pedestal. They're the earth mother. They're the ones that take care of other mothers. They're not supposed to run away. So I wondered if other midwives would be affronted. They would maybe say, oh, you shouldn't have said those things about the midwife. But actually it turns out a lot of them say, I know what that feels like. I haven't been exactly in the place the fictional midwife was, but it is a high-stress profession.
Wow.
And one of my interests is stress, period. I just think it affects our health so much. And nowadays, in this modern world, everything, the stresses maybe aren't any different, but they're layered on faster.
But I do think, from what I understand, and Robin knows more about midwives than me. She was explaining to me what it was.
Uh-huh.
But it sounds like you basically, part of your job as a midwife is, correct me if I'm wrong, to take on other people's burdens so that it's not on their shoulders. And now you have not only your own life, but their lives as well.
Well, that is very true, at least of me. I imagine there maybe are some midwives who don't get as involved with their patients, but I've written other books. I've written a couple of memoirs, and my first book was called The Blue Cotton Gown, and it really is the story of how I relate to patients. And it's a book about the courage of ordinary women and the stories they tell me, where you would just walk out of the exam room and go, wow, I can't believe how some people have to cope, everything from, drug addicted kids to, abusive marriages to, money problems and getting evicted. I mean, you know the stories. But I think that's true. And, my husband is a physician. He's an OBGYN, and God love him. I mean, I put him at the top of the pile for docs, but he doesn't get as involved with the women's stories as I do. And I don't know if that's a hazard or if it's really just part of the occupation to listen.
Wow.
In some ways, to carry those burdens. I think your
it almost seems like you have
words
to.
are good.
It almost seems that you have to, in order to have a life of your own, you almost have to separate yourself from the burdens of your clients or your patients in his case. But as a midwife, it seems almost impossible to do that because, as I think I understand, you are basically there for that very purpose of taking on somebody else's burdens.
I think if you went to midwifery school, they would not include that in the curriculum. They would say, isn't it funny? I don't think they would say, here's what you're going to do. But I think the fact is you end up doing that. And it may be one of the reasons there's a fair amount of dropout. People love the profession. They love helping bring new life into the world. But yet it gets you down after a while. And I think, maybe in midwifery schools, they really should talk about that more. Here's how to separate yourself. Here's how to leave those things in the office. Don't take them home to your kids or your husband or, your loved ones. Lay those burdens down at least for, 8 hours a day.
And that's where the advocacy of good counseling comes in, because you're not only counseling the mom-to-be and the dad-to-be, but you also need some counseling as well.
I think that's absolutely right. And it's something we need to address better in any kind of helping profession, don't you think?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is going to be offensive to you ladies, but it sounds like something that is not so untypical of women in general, of taking on other people's burdens and or wanting to or being willing to, or not that men don't, but I think you ladies do. And I don't know if I just stepped on any toes or not, but it just seems like I see Robin do it. I see other ladies doing this too. So.
And, like with my husband, if I would bring a story home for him, like, oh, man, you should have heard this patient. This is so terrible, pitiful, whatever. And here's what he would want to know. Is there anything we can do now to help her? And is she in real danger? And then he would go to work on it, right? But he's not. Women, I think, we do get involved. We learn from each other, and we also, in some ways, become each other's support people and counselors and things. And it doesn't offend me at all, Larry. I've thought that myself, how different we are. The old book, the men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's some truth there that we have constitutional differences.
To your husband's credit, at least he asked, what can we do now? I thought you were going to say he was asking, what's in the refrigerator?
No.
Well, what's on TV tonight or something like that?
No.
Well, you're a joy to talk to. Thank you for being on the air. Good, congratulations on this book. I mean, you're getting good reviews. You're a best-selling author, and good. Is this something that you could see coming your way? I mean, did you know this was in your future before you started writing, that this would be your new life?
I did not. Writing was always easy for me. I kept journals and wrote poetry and things like that. But until I wrote the first book, The Blue Cotton Gown, which really came out of those experiences with women, I didn't know I was a writer. And then after that, I thought, hey, this is fun. I could do this more. And since then, I've had 2 historical novels set in the 1930s and 2 other memoirs and 1 other historical novel on the way, and then The Runaway Midwife, which I just really felt compelled to write out of my own experience.
I have a soft cover copy of the book. It's a wonderful book. It's called The Runaway Midwife. Patricia Harman is the author. I have a copy. Call me if you want the one that was sent to me. Patricia, before we say goodbye, send us to a website. Is it your name, patriciaharman.com?
Yeah. That's right, patriciaharman.com.
Okay. And I'm guessing the book is sold everywhere books are sold?
Everywhere and online, and it's got audiobooks and ebooks.
Oh,
so you can find it anywhere.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and congratulations on a newfound career.
Well, thank you both. Thank you very much.
All right, we will be right back.
Bye-bye.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming